Okay, today's video, how about we flip the retirement script? You've spent decades working, saving, and stressing about whether your pension will stretch far enough. But what if instead of you paying the town to live there, the town paid you? Yep, there are actually places in Europe so desperate for new residents that they'll roll out the red carpet. Hand you some cash, or offer perks just to convince you to call their little slice of paradise home. Sounds like a scam, right? Like one of those emails where a mysterious prince offers you millions if you just send over your bank details. But in this case, it's legit, because many European towns are facing shrinking populations, crumbling infrastructure, and the slow fade into ghost town status. Their solution? Bakeries, and breathe life back into the community. So if you're ready for cobblestone streets, ancient castles, and yes, possibly a bonus check just for showing up, stick around. Today we're counting down Europe towns that will pay you to retire there. And before we dive in, quick note. Anytime you're flying both domestic and international, delays and cancellations can ruin your plans, and your wallet. That's where a service like Air Help comes in. They help travelers claim compensation when airlines mess up, and the best part, you don't pay unless they win for you. I'll drop a link in the description if you want to check them out, especially if Europe is on your radar. Alright, let's jump in. Let's start with this first one. Imagine a town so empty the mayor is practically begging people to move in. 1. Candela, Italy, the little Naples that'll pay your rent. Located in the southern region of Puglia, Candela looks like something out of an Italian film. Pastel-colored houses, narrow streets, and lively piazzas. Or at least, it used to be lively. The population has dropped dramatically from around 8,000 residents in the 1990s to just over 2,700 today. Leaving the place with too many houses, and not enough people. The town sits on a hilltop about 45 minutes from Foggia, offering sweeping views of the Apulian countryside. Walking through Candela feels like stepping back in time. Ancient stone buildings line streets and a narrow that cars barely fit, and locals still gather in the central piazza for their evening passeggiata. To fix the population crisis, Candela has offered cash incentives, up to €2,000 per person, to newcomers willing to settle down. Families can get even more, with additional bonuses for each child. Add in tax breaks, discounts on utilities and subsidized housing renovations. And suddenly your retirement budget stretches much further than you ever imagined. The daily life reality. Your morning routine might include walking to the local panetteria for fresh bread while chatting with the baker who's worked there for 30 years. Afternoons could be spent exploring nearby Lucera with its stunning cathedral and Norman castle. Or taking day trips to the Adriatic coast just an hour away. Evenings are for aperitivo in the piazza, where locals will absolutely adopt you as their new curiosity from abroad. The perks: affordable housing compared to northern Italy. Think €500 to your €800/month for a decent apartment. Proximity to the Adriatic coast and historic towns like Lucera and Monte Sant'Angelo. Authentic Italian lifestyle without the tourist crush of Rome or Florence. Strong sense of community where neighbors become family. The drawbacks: it's small. If you like big city buzz, this might feel too sleepy. Limited English speakers, you'll want to learn some Italian. Incentives change depending on funding, so you can't bank on a massive payday forever. Public transportation is limited, having a car helps. But for retirees looking for a charming Italian town that literally welcomes you with cash, Candela delivers La Dolce Vita with a bonus check. Next on the list isn't cheap, but what if a very beautiful village actually paid you to live there? 2. Albinon, Switzerland, cash for every new resident. Welcome to Albinon. Tucked in the Swiss Alps at 1,300 meters above sea level, this postcard-perfect village is losing residents fast. The population has shrunk to just around 240 people, with houses sitting empty and the local schools struggling to maintain enrollment. The locals needed a bold plan. Their solution? Cold hard cash. Albinen has offered around 25,000 Swiss francs, about $27,000 per adult, plus 10,000 Swiss francs for each child, to families who commit to living there long term. That's not chump change, that's a serious incentive that could cover your moving expenses and then some. The village itself is like something from a fairy tale. Traditional wooden chalets with flower boxes dot the mountainside, and on clear days, you can see the Matterhorn in the distance. The hiking trails start literally at your doorstep. And in winter, ski slopes are a short drive away. The daily life reality: your mornings might start with the sound of cowbells as local herders move their cattle to alpine pastures. Coffee comes from the village cafe where everyone knows your name within a week. Afternoons are for hiking trails that lead to mountain lakes or taking the postal bus down to look for groceries. Evenings involve stargazing in some of the clearest skies in Europe. The perks: breathtaking mountain scenery that changes dramatically with the seasons. Access to world-class healthcare: Switzerland has one of the best systems globally. Hiking, skiing, and fresh alpine air right outside your door. Extremely low crime rates and high quality of life. Well connected by public transport, despite the remote feel. The drawbacks: high cost of living. Groceries and restaurants will eat into your budget, think $8 for a simple sandwich. You must commit for at least 10 years to qualify for the incentives. Limited nightlife and cultural activities. Harsh winters with lots of snow. Language barrier: Swiss German is quite different from standard German. If ever you need a language course, link is in the description. But if you've ever dreamed of waking up to snow-capped peaks, and don't mind being in a tiny alpine village where your biggest decision is which mountain trail to explore, this could be the most beautiful paycheck you'll ever receive. Next one: you get a free land, a paycheck, and oh yeah, you're on an island. Still think it's too good to be true. 3. Antikythera, Greece. Get paid to move to a Greek island. Antikythera is a tiny island between Crete and mainland Greece, and its population has shrunk so dramatically that local officials are literally begging people to move there. We're talking about an island with just 20 to 30 permanent residents rattling around in a place that once supported hundreds. The Greek Orthodox Church, which owns much of the land, has offered packages that include around €500 a month for the first few years, free land plots, and in some cases even free housing. The catch: you need to be willing to work, whether that's farming, fishing, maintaining the island, or providing services to the tiny community. The island itself is ruggedly beautiful. Rocky cliffs drop into crystal clear Mediterranean waters, ancient ruins dot the landscape. And the night sky is so clear you can see the Milky Way with the naked eye. This is where the famous Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek computer, was discovered in a shipwreck. The daily life reality: your day starts with sunrise over the Aegean and ends with sunset that paints the sky in impossible colors. Fresh fish comes from local fishermen, vegetables from your own garden, and entertainment from books, nature, and the occasional visit from researchers or sailors passing through. The monthly supply boat arriving becomes a major social event. The perks: stunning Mediterranean views in every direction. Small, tight-knit community: think everybody knows your name, because they literally do. Fresh seafood, and authentic Greek hospitality. Zero traffic, zero pollution, zero stress. Rich archaeological significance. Swimming and snorkeling right outside your door. The drawbacks: remote doesn't begin to describe it. Ferry service runs maybe twice a week in good weather. Access to medical care means helicopter evacuation or a risky boat ride. You really have to love the quiet life. limited electricity, and internet connectivity. Supplies come monthly. If the weather's bad, you wait. Not for people who need constant stimulation. The next one is making that dream a reality. 4. Precicchi, Italy, the town that pays you to buy a house. In the sun-soaked region of Salento, the heel of Italy's boot, Precicchi has a big problem: too many abandoned homes and not enough people to fill them. The population has dropped from over 6,000 to around 5,200, leaving entire neighborhoods with empty houses slowly crumbling in the Mediterranean sun. The solution: cash incentives for anyone willing to buy and renovate one of these abandoned properties. Reports have suggested payouts of up to €30,000, plus additional grants for restoration work. That's like getting paid to own your own Italian villa. Precicchi is one of those hidden gems that tourists haven't discovered yet. The Baroque architecture rivals anywhere in Italy, olive groves stretch to the horizon. And you're equidistant from both the Adriatic and Ionian seas. The town centre features beautiful churches, including the Mother Church with its stunning bell tower, and piazzas, where locals still gather for evening conversations. The daily life reality: mornings start with espresso at the local bar, standing up, Italian style. While planning your day around the sacred riposo, the afternoon rest when everything closes. You might spend mornings at one of the nearby beaches, afternoons working on your house renovation, and evenings in the piazza watching elderly men play cards while children chase pigeons. The perks: sunny southern Italian weather, over 300 days of sunshine per year. Close to both Adriatic and Ionian seas, with pristine beaches 15 to 20 minutes away. Affordable renovation projects compared to northern Italy. Rich Baroque architecture and authentic Italian village atmosphere. Excellent local food scene with fresh seafood and local olive oil. Growing expat community that's still small enough to feel intimate. The drawbacks: renovation means, well, renovation. Expect dust, delays, and Italian bureaucracy. Small town pace may feel slow for some retirees. Summer heat can be intense, think 35 degrees Celsius plus, 95 degrees Fahrenheit plus, regularly. Limited English speakers outside tourist areas. Public transportation is limited, car recommended. Still, Precicchi is proof that in Italy, La Dolce Vita sometimes comes with a bonus check. And your own piece of Mediterranean paradise. Next is sunshine, sangria. And a paycheck to move there. 5. Pona, Spain, a village that pays young families and retirees. Pona, a little village in Asturias in northern Spain, has seen its population shrink to just a few hundred people scattered across several tiny hamlets. The region is known as Green Spain for good reason: rolling hills, dense forests, and mountain peaks that look more like Scotland than the Spain most people imagine. To reverse the population decline, local officials announced they would pay families about €3,000 to move there, plus additional incentives for each child born in the village. Retirees are also welcomed because they bring steady income from pensions and don't strain the limited job market. Pona sits in the Redus Natural Park, surrounded by peaks that reach over 2,000 meters. The landscape is dotted with traditional Asturian architecture, stone houses with red tile roofs, elevated granaries called harios, and ancient churches that have stood for centuries. The daily life reality: your mornings might include collecting eggs from your own chickens while mist clings to the valley below. Days are for hiking mountain trails, foraging for mushrooms, or exploring nearby villages where locals still speak the ancient Bable dialect. Evenings are for hearty Asturian cuisine, think farbada beans, locally made cheese, and cider poured from grate. Heights in traditional sidrerias. The perks: mountain views and national parks literally at your doorstep. Affordable cost of living: housing costs a fraction of Madrid or Barcelona. Spain's excellent healthcare system with good regional hospitals nearby. Rich cultural heritage with unique Asturian traditions. Cool, pleasant summers and mild winters. Strong sense of community and local traditions. The drawbacks: it's rural with a capital R. Don't expect big city conveniences. Rainy climate, this is green Spain, emphasis on the green. Limited job opportunities if you're not retired. Incentives depend on government funding cycles. Language barrier: Asturian Spanish has local peculiarities. But for those craving fresh mountain air, friendly locals who still live by seasonal rhythms, and a slower pace of life where your biggest concern is whether the local cheesemaker has any fresh cabrales, Ponga is an underrated gem. Imagine living in one of the greenest regions, the next on the list wants you to call it home. 6. Rubia, Spain, Galician life with a cash bonus. This small Galician town in northwestern Spain has also offered financial incentives to attract new residents, particularly retirees who bring consistent income and don't compete for limited local jobs. The cash helps offset moving expenses and home purchases, making the transition smoother for newcomers willing to embrace Galician culture. Rubia sits in a valley surrounded by eucalyptus forests and rushing rivers. The landscape is impossibly green, think island with Spanish sunshine, when it's not raining. Stone bridges cross mountain streams, and ancient Celtic castros, fortified settlements, remind us that this region was Celtic long before it was Spanish. The daily life reality: your day starts with the sound of cowbells and roosters. Progresses through visits to local markets selling incredibly fresh seafood, trucked in from the nearby coast. And ends with local wines that somehow cost less than bottled water. The pace is dictated by weather and seasons, indoor activities when it rains, outdoor exploration when the sun breaks through. The perks: lush landscapes, rivers, and forests perfect for nature lovers. Affordable housing compared to Madrid or Barcelona, think 300 to your 500/month rent. Incredible seafood and local wine culture. Rich Celtic Spanish cultural heritage. Friendly locals who appreciate newcomers. Access to Santiago de Compostela and other historic cities. The drawbacks: rainy weather. Galicia is gorgeous but wet, expect rain 150+ days per year. Smaller expat scene compared to southern Spain. Galician language alongside Spanish can be confusing initially. Limited public transportation in rural areas. Fewer cultural amenities than larger cities. Still, if you've ever dreamed of a green Spain retirement where your neighbors might include Celtic stone circles and your local specialties include some of the world's best seafood, Rubia might be your spot. How about an island that not only welcomes you, but also gives you cash? Watch the next place. 7. Kalymnos, Greece, financial help for new families located in the Dodecanese between Kos and Leros. Kalymnos is famous for two things: sponge diving and some of the best rock climbing in Europe. But like many small Greek islands, it's losing residents to mainland Greece and other EU countries, leaving behind empty houses and aging populations. Local programs have occasionally offered financial support for new families or retirees, including monthly stipends, housing assistance, and help with integration into the community. The amounts vary, but the island is genuinely eager to attract permanent residents who will contribute to the local economy and culture. The island itself is dramatically beautiful. White limestone cliffs plunge into azure waters, traditional sponge boats bob in colorful harbors. And mountain villages seem to hang impossibly on cliff faces. The daily life reality: mornings start with coffee in the harbor watching sponge divers prepare their boats using techniques passed down for generations. Days might be spent rock climbing on world-class routes, swimming in hidden coves, or exploring mountain villages where old women still dress in traditional black. Evenings are for fresh seafood on waterfront tavernas where the octopus was literally caught that morning. The perks: stunning beaches and crystal clear waters. Lower costs than famous islands like Mykonos or Santorini. Authentic Greek island culture without tourist overload. World-class rock climbing and outdoor activities. Strong local traditions including sponge diving heritage. Tight-knit community that welcomes newcomers. The drawbacks: limited healthcare facilities on the island, serious medical issues require travel. Remote island living isn't for everyone. Limited job opportunities outside tourism and fishing. Ferry connections can be irregular in bad weather. Some amenities disappear in winter months. For retirees craving the slow rhythm of the sea, morning fishing boats, and evenings where sunset over the Aegean is your entertainment, Kalymnos could be the jackpot. If you want your retirement home cost less than a cup of coffee, then the next place is for you. 8. Zungali, Italy, homes for €1, and sometimes more cash. Zungali, a hilltop town in southern Italy's Campania region, joined the famous €1 home movement that's been making headlines across Italy. The deal? Buy a home for €1, but you must renovate it within 3 years. Some towns, including Zungali, have added cash incentives, tax breaks, or renovation grants on top of that symbolic purchase price. This medieval village sits on a hilltop about 100 kilometers from Naples, with views that stretch across rolling hills to distant mountains. The town is built around a Norman castle, with narrow stone streets winding between ancient buildings that have housed families for centuries. The daily life reality: your morning view might include sunrise over the Campanian hills while church bells mark the hours. Days could involve working with local craftsmen on your renovation project, learning traditional building techniques, or exploring nearby towns like Sant'Angelo dei Lombardi. Evenings are for local trattorias where the wine comes from vineyards you can see from your window. The perks: gorgeous medieval architecture in a perfectly preserved hilltop setting. Authentic Italian village life with strong local traditions. Almost free housing if you're willing to put in the work. Growing international community of €1 home buyers. Rich history dating back to Norman times. Access to Naples and southern Italy's cultural treasures. The drawbacks: renovation costs can add up fast, budget €20,000 to €50,000 minimum. Italian bureaucracy isn't exactly fast or easy. Limited amenities: nearest supermarket might be 20 minutes away. Earthquake risk in this seismically active region. Population is aging, not many young families around. But hey, even if it costs you significant money to renovate, where else can you buy an Italian house for less than your morning latte, and end up with a medieval castle as your neighbor? Next one isn't just for tourists. Surprisingly, they're also paying people to move in. 9. Kypra, Croatia. Incentives in a seaside. Kypra is one of several Croatian towns offering incentives to attract new residents, part of a national strategy to reverse population decline that's in Croatia lose 10% of its people since independence. These programs usually come in the form of grants for housing purchases, moving expenses, and sometimes direct cash payments to families willing to commit long-term. The Croatian coast offers something unique: Adriatic beauty with Central European culture and prices that haven't yet caught up to Western Europe. Towns like Kypra combine seaside living with rich history, from Roman ruins to Venetian architecture to Yugoslav-era monuments. The daily life reality: your routine might include morning swims in the Adriatic, afternoons exploring Venetian old towns, and evenings at conobas, traditional taverns where fresh fish costs less than a fast food meal back home. The pace follows Mediterranean rhythms: active mornings and evenings, restful afternoons. The perks: beautiful Adriatic coastline with pristine beaches and clear water. Lower costs than Italy or Greece for similar Mediterranean lifestyle. EU membership provides healthcare and legal protections. Rich cultural heritage mixing Slavic, Italian, and Austrian influences. Growing expat community, especially along the coast. The drawbacks: language barrier: Croatian uses different alphabet and grammar. Programs vary by town and year, payouts aren't always consistent. Tourism industry can make summers crowded and expensive. Limited job opportunities outside tourism and agriculture. Bureaucracy can be slow, especially for foreigners. Still, Croatia offers a sweet spot of affordable living, beautiful views, and a foot in both Mediterranean and Central European cultures, with occasional cash bonuses for making the move. If you want to retire in a beautiful place plus collecting an extra paycheck. The last one says, welcome. 1 Calabria region, Italy, up to €28,000 to move. In recent years, Calabria, the toe of Italy's boot, has launched programs offering up to €28,000 over 3 years to new residents, especially targeting small villages fighting depopulation. Retirees with steady pensions are prime candidates because they bring stable income without competing for scarce local jobs. Calabria is one of Italy's best-kept secrets. The region offers 3 different coastlines, Tyrrhenian, Ionian, and a bit of the Adriatic, the Silla and Aspromonte mountain ranges, and some of the most authentic Italian culture you'll find. Tourism hasn't overwhelmed the region like it has Tuscany or the Amalfi Coast. The daily life reality: your mornings might start with espresso while watching fishing boats return to small harbors. Days could include exploring ruins at Reggio Calabria, hiking in the Silla National Park, or simply sitting in piazzas where the biggest excitement is the arrival of the afternoon bus. Evenings are for local restaurants serving andouille spicy spreadable salami and wine that costs less than bottled water. The perks: sun, sea, and mountains all in one region with diverse landscapes. Extremely affordable housing: think €30,000 to €50,000 for houses with sea views. Some of the best and most authentic food in Italy. Rich Greek and Norman history with excellent museums. Warm, welcoming locals who still practice traditional hospitality. 3 different coastlines offering variety. The drawbacks: infrastructure can be spotty, internet and roads aren't always reliable. Limited English speakers outside major towns. You must commit to living there for a set number of years to keep the money. Drangheta organized crime presence, though tourists/residents rarely affected. Hot, humid summers with limited air conditioning. Public transportation is limited, car highly recommended. Still, if you've dreamed of sipping wine on your balcony overlooking the Tyrrhenian Sea while collecting a monthly check from the Italian government, Calabria might just pay for that exact lifestyle. So, can you really get paid to retire in Europe? Absolutely, but remember, these incentives come with conditions. They're not free money, but they are opportunities to stretch your retirement budget while living in some of the most beautiful places on Earth. And one last tip: if you're planning to test drive life in any of these towns, protect yourself from the chaos of modern travel. Airlines lose luggage, cancel flights, and delay connections more than you think. That's where a service like Air Help can save the day. If your flight gets cancelled or delayed in Europe, you could be entitled to up to €600 equals $700 in compensation, and Air Help fights for that on your behalf. Links in the description if you want peace of mind. So, which town would you move to if they paid you? Drop it in the comments. If you enjoy this video, click on these next ones. Thanks for watching.